Welcome to the second race from this opening event of the Britcar Dunlop Endurance E-Series, presented by Brabham Automotive. Let's take a look at the racingriggs.co.uk start grid. And the grid is based on the results of a qualifying heat. That was won by David Brabham, so he starts on pole position in the Brabham BT62 with teammate Will Powell alongside. For Roll Centre Racing, Morgan Short makes his debut and starts third in the BMW Z4 GT3, the similar machine of Steve Burke alongside fourth on the grid. And then to complete the third row, we've got Nathan Wells in his BMW Z4 and the best of the Class 3 qualifiers, Shane Stoney for Quattro Motorsports in the Ginetta GT4. Remember to visit racingriggs.co.uk for some great deals on professional sim racing equipment. My name's Chris Hartley. We're all set to go racing. The lights go out, the race gets underway here at Spa, and we've already got drama because we're missing the pole sitter. David Brabham has accidentally teleported back to the pit, so it's his teammate in the orange BT62 that leads the charge into turn one. Will Powell just behind him, look like the green BMW of Morgan Short. Somebody's gone wide and into the barriers on the exit to La Source. That looked like the blue and white Digiplat Racing BMW of Nathan Wells, who started fifth on the grid. He got going again, but has dropped a long way down the order, so Powell leads at the top of Eau Rouge for the first time in the race. Morgan Short right behind him at the top of Radion. They come onto the Camel straight, and it's bunching up even more now. Morgan Short pulls out of the slipstream alongside Will Powell right behind them, and now in between them goes Steve Burke. He goes from third to first. On the brakes he goes on the way into the S's, but he loses the back end over the curbs, and Morgan Short goes through. Burke just about closes the door in time to stop Will Powell coming through the BT62, but that has gifted the lead to the BMW of Morgan Short. Still side by side into Rivage. Powell tries to come around the outside of Burke. A tiny bit of contact through the hairpin. Right behind them as well with a tremendous start. You've got Andrew Tucker in the white and blue Team Brit Mercedes AMG. He's gone from 12th on the grid, and from the very back of the grid, having failed to finish in the qualifying heat, you've got the black Mercedes of Sam Neary as Powell lunges down the inside at Pouhon to grab that second place away from Steve Burke. Burke is still trying to come back around the outside of him through the second part of Pouhon. He's got to be careful not to gift his own place up here to the pair of Mercedes that are nipping at his rear wing here. So those four cars now make their way through Le Fun. It's given a huge advantage here to Morgan Short. And in the background, it looks like Neary has gained a place. Yes, he's moved ahead of Andrew Tucker, who just ran a little bit too deep, I think, through Le Fun, just off camera. So he has now dropped a couple of seconds back, and it's become a nose-to-tail battle between the BMW and the Mercedes for third place here. The BMW of Steve Burke, the black Mercedes of Sam Neary. They come through Blanchimont, through the fast section, down on the brakes now, and down the gears to the last set of corners of the lap. Already, they've made it through to the bus stop chicane. So from the very back of the field, a terrific start to the race for Sam Neary. He goes over the line within a tenth or two of a podium position here already, and he's still got most of this 30-minute race to go. Into La Source, they then charge. The lead advantage for Morgan Short, 2.5 seconds at the end of the first lap of the race. There you can see the advantage that he has, although Will Powell has started to get into his rhythm now, having to really battle on that first lap of the race. But he has now got a little bit of clear air ahead of him as they head back towards the Kemmel Straight. Through Radion they go onto this huge long uphill straight at Kemmel, and it looks like the black Mercedes of Sam Neary got the better run. He pulls out of the slipstream. He's going to be on the outside line here on the way into Le Combe, but he's already through before they get to the braking zone, and that puts him now up into third place. Down to fourth position then it is for Steve Burke, and in fifth place and trying to come back at them, in fact I think he is coming back, is the Mercedes of Andrew Tucker, the Team Brit driver, which came from 12th on the grid. And then just behind them, we've got Nathan Wells already back up to 6th place. Well, just behind, he's 6.5 seconds or so behind. But given he was in the wall and the exit to La Source on the first lap of the race, to already be back up to 6th place is a good effort, this. 7th and leading Class 3 then. A very good start to the race for Bobby Trundley. He was out-qualified by Shane Stoney in the qualifying heat, so he was effectively second on the grid. There he is now in terms of the Class 3 entrance. However, Stoney was another driver that started the race from the pit lane, so rather than started on Class pole, He started at effectively the back of the field in the pit lane with David Brabham. Both of them are back in the action now. Stoney got out of the pits earlier than Brabham, so Stoney's back up to 12th. Brabham, though, is in stone last place, but with a quick Class 1 car, he should be able to make his way through the field. There is Jack Fabi in 9th place. He's had a good start to the race. Jack didn't have such a good qualifying heat, was 14th in that one, so he's already gained 5 places in the race, albeit a couple of them, as I said, started from the pit lane. There is David Brabham then. Work to do here for the winner of the 2009 Le Mans 24-hour race. But he won the inaugural event in the Britcar Dunlop Endurance E-Series here at Spa-Francorchamps. He won the qualifying heat and he was quickest in qualifying, so he should be able to come through. We're now looking in 15th place at his next target. The driver is trying to catch first. Darren Cook here in the Team Brit's Ginetta. He's the videographer for Team Brit in real life, having his own go at sim racing here, having raced on 1 or 2 occasions for Team Brit himself in the Fun Cup Endurance Championship. Ahead of him in 14th place, this is Chris Clark in the yellow Majestic Motorsport Porsche Cayman, another of the Class 3 entries. The grid made up of high performance Class 1 cars and more production based, lesser performance Class 3 cars, such as this Lotus Evora driven by Alain Remius, who's 13th at the end of the lap. Now, replay of the change of lead on the previous lap. Very, very briefly from 3rd to 1st, Steve Burke got his nose in front, but he was too quick into the corner, slid the back end of the BMW, and that's where the Mercedes of Morgan Short took 1st place. Back live now, and this is the battle for 2nd place between Will Powell and Sam Neary, who's come from the back of the grid. He's just over 3/4 of a second adrift now of the Brabham BT62 as they head downhill into the left-hander at Pouhon. Steve Burke in 4th place, Andrew Tucker 5th, and still about 6.5 seconds behind him is Nathan Wells, who had an off coming out of the source at the start of the race, but hasn't really been able to make much progress on this last lap or so. 7th place, or he was 7th, he's just been overtaken by Jack Fabi, was Mike Moss, another driver coming from the back of the field, the multiple production class champion in the Britcar Endurance series over the last few years. And Mike, a race winner in the very final rounds of the 2019 Britcar Endurance Championship at Brands Hatch, where there were a pair of into-the-night races. So he came from fairly low down the grid, Mike Moss. He did get up to 7th, but as I said, he's just been passed by Jack Fabi, who himself is making good progress from the middle of the pack. Right, the gap growing as we've been talking about that between 2nd and 3rd. So Neary dropping away from Powell, who's on a good lap here. Powell not really being able to do anything about the race leader at the moment, though. Morgan Short doing a terrific job. He had his first ever, there he is in the green BMW, first ever real life race in the C1 Citroën 24-hour endurance race at Silverstone last year. And that was alongside his dad, Martin, who is a hugely successful GT racer. In fact, Martin's driven everything from single-seaters and MG Metros and TVRs through to all types of GTs over the last 30 years or so. He was the British GT champion in 2003. And it looks like his son is a chip off the old block, certainly in terms of sim racing, because he's doing a fine job here at the head of the pack, keeping the gap back to Will Powell to around about 4 seconds. Will, in turn, is just creeping away a little bit now from Sam Neary in 3rd. Steve Burke, who had that big moment at this corner and very briefly took the lead of the race, 4th place now, and about 2.5 clear of this man, Andrew Tucker, in the Team Brit Mercedes AMG. Andrew, one of the drivers for Team Brit, which was founded by Dave Player initially as a karting team. Then they moved into mainstream motorsport, predominantly endurance racing, and the whole team set up to inspire people that have disabilities or PTSD, mental health issues, by demonstrating what they can achieve through motorsports. A great concept, a great team, and Andrew, one of their latest drivers to join, somebody who suffered serious injuries in a pretty serious motorcycle incident around about 7 years ago, when he was stationary at some traffic lights and a car went into him, so he suffered all sorts of damage to his knees and legs and some mental health scars as a result of that. Another driver for Team Brit going very well here and leading Class 3. You're looking at Bobby Trundley in the Seat, just 20 years of age. He was diagnosed with autism from an early age, found that motorsport had a hugely positive effect on the way he copes with the condition, and first fell in love with the sport through karting, in which he achieved quite a bit of success, was a D-Max national karting champion before moving now into car racing. Right, you've just seen another of the Class 3 competitors, the yellow Seat of Shields Bergstrom, the American. He's been chased down by Shane Stoney here in the red, yellow and white Ginetta. Shane, it was the driver that won Class 3 in terms of the qualifying heat, but started the race from the pit lane. However, he's on a real flyer now. He's already back up to 11th place. And it's no surprise to see him going well, because he's a two-time Cooper Class champion in the Mini Challenge, winning, I think it was 25 races over the course of just a couple of seasons in that championship. Lots of other success for him as well. Nick Halstead, who is a Ginetta racer in real life, is just behind, so currently running 4th in class. A driver who's competed in the Ginetta GT5 Challenge, amongst other things, over the last couple of years. 14th now, because he's been passed by David Brabham, who's started to work his way through the slower Class 3 cars, is this man, Alan Remius, for the GF Williams team in the Lotus. That car currently in 14th place. But a big gap between him and Darren Cook in 15th position, so it's 4th in class at the moment for the Lotus driver. They're just flashing through the shot. You saw David Brabham, whose next target is going to be Nick Halstead, and he's going to catch him momentarily, I reckon, because he was only 1.7 seconds behind at the last split. He's already got that gap down to less than a second. And yes, here he is, right onto the tail of the Ginetta, accelerating out of the bus stop chicane, then onto the start-finish straight, and he gets alongside and should easily move ahead of Nick Halstead with more power available to him in this wonderful BT62, a race-winning car on its debut in real life at the end of last season in the Britcar Endurance Championship, and a car which has, in real life, something akin to 700 brake horsepower. It's a fantastic machine. On the graphic to the left of your picture as well, you can see that Shane Stoney has just gained a place. That puts him into the top 10 now, and ahead of Bergstrom, and up to 2nd place in Class 3. So Stoney continues to charge on. A big gap to try and close to Mike Moss, who's the next driver ahead of him in 9th position. Not much of a gap here, though. This is the battle for 4th place between Steve Burke in the yellow and black BMW for Lizard Motorsport, and chasing him back down now is Andrew Tucker. So Andrew doing a terrific job. And the rookie drivers with Team Brits planning on competing in the Gas Shocks BMW Trophy in 2020, but of course real life racing at the moment is a non-starter due to the worldwide pandemic. However, he's gaining great experience here, and he's doing a terrific job. The Mercedes going well, just about a second and a half adrift now of 4th place. He's got a nice healthy gap back to Nathan Wells in 6th position. That gap has extended out by about 3 seconds to 9.5 seconds now. So he can focus on what's ahead of him rather than what's behind him. Keep an eye on the gap between Wells and Fabi as well, because that's started to come down at times to under 6 seconds. There then is your race leader for Royal Centre Racing, Morgan Short, 4 seconds clear of Will Powell in 2nd place. Will, who was co-driver to David Brabham when the BT62 took its maiden victory in its first ever race at Brands Hatch. He's also done some racing in Radicals, the MR2 Championship, some Formula 3 racing as well, and he's a qualified race instructor. Now, just looking at the graphic to the top left of your picture, the race leader has disappeared. He's dropping down the pack here. So Powell has moved into the lead of the race. Neary's gone up to 2nd position, Burke up to 3rd, and it looks like our race leader has disappeared. Now, this could well be a connection issue rather than he's retired from the race with a crash or car trouble, and that is a massive shame for Morgan Short, who had such a beautiful start to this race and was leading fairly comfortably as we approach the halfway mark. So I'm afraid it's bad news for him. It's good news though for Will Powell, who has moved into the lead of the race. Also looking at the graphic, David Brabham's had another glitch as well, perhaps with his connections. He's dropped back down the order. This was just a lap or so ago where he was beginning to charge through the pack. This was his move on Nick Halstead to put him up to 12th place, but Brabham has since dropped out of the race, I'm afraid, and again that could be a connection issue, so a real shame for him. But at least there is one Brabham BT62 going well, and it's now going very well because he's inherited the race lead here, Will Powell. So this gives him a 4.3 second advantage over Sam Neary in the Mercedes in 2nd place. Up into a podium position now is Andrew Tucker from 12th on the grid in the Team Brit Mercedes. 4th place, having had a crash, and I think he dropped to 12th place at one stage early on in the race, is Nathan Wells, having glanced the barriers on the exit to the La Source hairpin. Jack Fabi is up to 5th place. 6th position and leading Class 3 is Bobby Trundley. And then it's Shane Stoney, 2nd in the class, but 20 odd seconds behind him. 3rd in the category, Class 3, is Shields Bergstrom in 8th place overall. Nick Halstead in 9th position, and up to 10th place from near the back of the field is Alan Remius. So that's the top 10 as it stands, and on the graphic it looks like there's been a change for 3rd place. Wells ahead of Tucker. And there is Tucker, and he's about to lose another place. The purple BMW of Jack Fabi comes past him as well. So Tucker having an issue on the Camel Straight, and an even bigger issue now as he gets into a spin on the exit to Lacombe. Over the curbs he goes, he recovers it quickly. Let's have a look. Well, he was off his racing line, he was already on the back foot here. Fabi comes through, it's a clean move. And then let's just have a look. The curbs, he takes a bit too much curb on the away into the corner, oversteers, it snaps away from him, and he loses more valuable time. So it's all kicking off here. Jack Fabi suddenly there in the purple BMW finds himself up to 4th place and just 0.4 of a second away from a podium. Nathan Wells has picked up that podium position, but he can see these mirrors are absolutely full of Jack Fabi's car. Jack doing a great job here from 14th on the grid. And he looks the quicker of the two at the moment, showing his nose. There's no real opportunity to get through at this phase of the circuit through Stavelot 1 and through Stavelot 2, but we're winding it up to the very fast section heading towards Blanchimont, and once they get through that, there might be an opportunity to lunge down the inside, under braking on the way into the bus stop chicane if he can stay close enough through the quick section. Wells is doing a good job though, just about keeping him at bay for now as they charge through. Camera shot heading towards that braking zone. He's not going to be close enough to attack just yet, but he's very good on the brakes. Looking close, he's right up and he gets through. A mistake there from Wells, and Fabi picks up the place rather unexpectedly because he was about 4 lengths back going into the braking zone. So suddenly up into a podium position for Jack Fabi. Nathan Wells briefly on the podium finds himself back down into 4th place now. Andrew Tucker, after his bad lap, down to 5th position, and 6th position and leading Class 3, going very well indeed, is Bobby Trundley. Here's a replay then of the moment that we saw that change for 3rd place. I think he was maybe an eye in the mirror, saw this purple missile coming towards him and just got out of the way there, did Nathan Wells. And there was no contact. They both survived, and there's still plenty of time, 10 minutes or so, to try and get that place back. So running through shot there, the race leader, 3.6 seconds clear of Sam Neary. Sammy's doing a good job of keeping the race leader honest here as they make their way through towards Pouhon. There's a huge gap back to that 3rd place fight that we were just enjoying between Jack Fabi and Nathan Wells. 22, nearly 23 seconds the gap from 2nd to 3rd places here. Now, those of you familiar with the Assetto Corsa game that we use for the Britcar Dunlop Endurance E-Series powered by Brabham Automotive will note some unique cars that are not on the original title. The Ginetta and the TCR mods have been supplied by Sean Clark, who's achieved some excellent results. You can find these and more of Sean's cars by searching for the Ginetta or TCR on the web. The Brabham that you're looking at now is an exclusive pre-release version for use in this series, but the full performance release of the car, developed by Brabham Automotive in Australia, is due out on public release in the coming week, so you can look out for that. And at the moment, Brabham lead the way with Will Powell looking to score his first victory in the E-Series. He's about to complete another lap, and he's still just over 3.5 seconds clear of Sam Neary. Here is Nathan Wells. Now Nathan, 3rd place. Last we saw him, he was 4th. He's got back ahead of Jack Fabi while we were watching the leader go through. So Fabi there, who's in his shot, who got into 3rd place at this very corner with a late lunge under braking. Well, he's still in touch, but somewhere along the line he dropped back to 4th place and lost a couple of seconds. Looks like he's still got plenty of speed though, and he's very much hanging back on to the tail of the BMW ahead of him. So we still have this close fight for the final place on the podium in the remaining minutes of the race. Coming out of the hairpin they go. There's 1 or 2 bits of traffic to deal with in the coming laps as well for this pair. Bobby Trundley remains the Class 3 leader. He's about 30 seconds behind this battle, but he's 19 seconds clear of the 2nd place car in Class 3, which is Shane Stoney. Then we've got 3rd in the class, Shields Bergstrom, the professional racing driver from Milwaukee in the USA. So they're top 3 in Class 3. Coming up then to lap Darren Cook, who is trying to catch Alan Remius for a place inside the top 10, and he's doing a good job here, Darren. He's only 2.5 seconds back, and he's just got to make sure that when he gets lapped, he doesn't hold himself up too much, doesn't lose too much time to the Lotus that he's trying to catch. So he's about to be lapped through Rivage. He gives room and sees Nathan Wells coming. Wells gets through, and how will this fare? Not so well, I'm afraid, for Jack Fabi, who gets caught out and hits the barriers, noses into the barriers, pirouettes off it, gets going again, but loses 3 or 4 seconds in the process. Meanwhile, Sam Neary is about to put a lap on the Ginetta of Nick Halstead. Nick currently running in 9th place and 4th in Class 3. Sam pushing on to try and close the gap to Will Powell, but he's lost half a second or so on this lap, possibly due to the traffic. So he can still see in the distance, Will Powell, but he's not able to make much of an impression at the moment, although there's not much between their lap times. Now a replay of Jack Fabi, who possibly tagged the back of Darren Cook as he was desperately trying to get through the traffic, and then got on the gas and nosed into the barrier on the exit to Rivage. So Nathan Wells now 6.5 seconds clear of Jack Fabi, who's got to try and push really hard now to have any chance of getting on the podium. And coming back out of the pits, having rejoined and got his connection back underway, is David Brabham, and this could be handy because he's rejoined right in front of the race leader and his teammate for Brabham Automotive. He lets him through, he's going to tuck him behind him, and that could be a handy wingman to have here. David Brabham joining in. He's out of contention for the race, but he'll be able to protect the lead of Will Powell if Sam Neary gets close to him at any stage in these closing laps of the race. Right, Alan Remius down to 11th place. We saw Darren Cook was catching him with all the traffic and the drama that went on with Jack Fabi. We missed the move, but Darren has got through and into 10th place, and he's about 1.5 seconds clear now of the Lotus. So that's 4th in class for him. Will Powell 4 seconds clear. The gap's come down a little bit on this lap. Sam Neary continuing to push on, having had an excellent season in the Britcar Endurance Championship. 2 wins at Snetterton, a podium at Brands Hatch, a 4th place at Silverstone around the Grand Prix circuit, driving alongside his dad, Richard Neary, the very experienced, the very successful GT racer. So the Team ABBA man having a good weekend here at Spa in the Mercedes. He's already had 1 podium finish in the first event of the Britcar E-Series, and it looks like he's going to get another podium place here. Can he push on and get a win? Well, he's trying his best. He's certainly not giving up, and he can still see just in the distance Will Powell, but I think his heart will sink a little bit when he sees the blue and yellow BT62 in between him and the race leader, and he'll realise that David Brabham has come out to complete the last few laps of the race. Right here, up to 7th place, having started from the pit lane, is Shane Stoney in the number 89 Ginetta. Terrific drive by him. He's up into a podium paying position for Quattro Motorsport. There is the driver that leads Class 3, Bobby Trundley, who's never looked back really. He had a great first lap and he's controlled this class pretty handsomely since then. As I say, a good karting career, a D-Max karting champion after a few seasons of coming close in that national championship, a former scholarship finalist in the Ginetta Junior Scholarship as well. There is the other Team Britcar, and this one has got a much less calm end to the race, it seems, because Andrew Tucker has now got right behind him the pressure of another car that's rejoined the race. It's out of contention, but it's a very quick car, and it's Steve Burke back in the race. Steve was gunning for a podium earlier on, don't forget, so that will give him a bit of hassle, probably a bit of unwanted attention going into these closing laps. Just look at the detail on these cars. It's got the dirt at the side of the car from the fumes. It's got the brake discs glowing as he hits them on the way into the chicane in particular. There's Jack Fabi, 4th place. He was 3rd briefly, and then he had that spin going through the traffic, which dropped him away from Nathan Wells. After he recovered from the spin, he was 6.5 seconds adrift, but he's now 7.5 seconds adrift, and we are on the final lap of the race because there's only 40-odd seconds left on the clock. They're not going to get to the line before that time runs out, so Will Powell has just got to bring this home now. He's 3.7 seconds clear. David Brabham's gone back to the pits, but I don't think it's going to make any difference because Will Powell has not put a wheel wrong all the way through this race. He's been very smooth, very controlled, and it doesn't look like he's going to succumb to the pressure anytime soon. A real shame, as I say, that Morgan Short's connection dropped out. He'd set the fastest lap of the race. He was leading the way for Royal Centre, but it is going to be a victory for Will Powell with just a few more corners left to go, heading towards momentarily the bus stop chicane. Good job as well by Sam Neary, who, remember, had to come from the very back of the field after a problem in the qualifying heat. So right, then left for one more time. Hit the accelerator, fire it up through the gears, and take the checkered flag. It's victory in the Britcar Dunlop Endurance E-Series, presented by Brabham Automotive to a Brabham driver. Will Powell takes the victory from Sam Neary. Here's the driver that looks like he's going to join them on the podium at the end of this race. He's some way back from them, but he's got a nice healthy advantage in these last couple of corners over Jack Fabi. And it is Nathan Wells who's going to bring home the BMW to take a well-deserved third place here at Spa-Francorchamps. He crosses the line now. Fabi will finish fourth. Tucker will finish fifth and sixth place, an impressive sixth place overall, beating off some more high performance race cars from Class 1 is this young man, the 20-year-old from Wokingham, Bobby Trundley, on his way to a Class 3 victory here in the E-Series. It's going to be second place in the category for Shane Stoney. He's 11.8 seconds adrift, and Shields Bergstrom looks like he's going to complete the podium. So Bobby Trundley takes the Team Brit Seat Leon over the line to take the Class 3 victory here at Spa. There's confirmation of the results with Shane Stoney, Shields Bergstrom, Nick Halstead and Darren Cook completing the top 10. The next round of the Britcar Dunlop Endurance E-Series presented by Brabham Automotive will take us to the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Thanks for watching. From me, Chris Hartley, and the team, it's bye for now.